I'm Amy.
I'm Aliya.
And I'm Ewan. And we're going to spend the next few minutes sharing our experiences with updating our APA video tutorial series, APA in Minutes, for the 7th edition of the manual.
If you're thinking, this seems familiar, you're right. Our colleague Caleb Domsey presented on improvements made to the original video series at this conference back in 2014. And I am glad to say Caleb is still very much a part of the APA in Minutes team.
The original APA in Minutes began in 2013. We wanted to create something simple that would give students a short, digestible, and visual understanding of APA formatting rules. A video series that students could continuously refer back to, and that would be less confusing or intimidating than OWL at Purdue or the APA manual. We also had a growing demand for faculty and student support with APA instruction, but had little bandwidth for this type of instruction. Videos could supplement in-class teaching or help support a flipped classroom approach to activities.
After a review of YouTube videos, we found there were a wealth of APA videos online, but none offered brief, compact explanations with the short runtime. We wanted to design our videos to model the step-by-step process of building a citation from scratch, each video focusing on a different source.
The series of 12 videos was a huge success, cumulatively gathering almost 1 million views, with the most popular one on in-text citation gathering over 500,000 views. The original series still gets thousands of views to this day. But when the 7th edition of the APA manual was announced, it posed a big question. How do we update the video series and build upon what we've already done without affecting what made the original series so popular? If we start adding new elements, we risk making the videos longer. If we tweak the formula too much, we risk losing viewers.
Some of our updates would be cosmetic and simple to make, but it was Caleb who suggested that the analytics available to us on YouTube would tell us more about how our viewers use our videos and how we might improve them. At a surface level, the view counts told us which videos were most popular and were needed the most, but the analytics sections of YouTube allowed us to dig a little deeper and better understand our viewers' behaviors.
There were peaks in the video timelines that indicated viewers were pausing on or fast-forwarding to specific sections. These were almost always on parts of the video where the full citation example was on screen, typically at the end of the video. We saw that about 50% of our traffic comes from external sites rather than YouTube searches, and while it's obvious that not all our viewers are Humber students, we were able to see that our own students were accessing our videos through our LMS, our research guides, and our library website. Almost 40% of the external traffic came from a Humber source.
The comments section of the videos also helped provide some qualitative data to help make sense of the quantitative data we were getting from the analytics. We received a ton of really encouraging support and feedback, which let us know we were on the right track. But some common themes appeared. Despite having a standalone video dedicated to in-text citations, viewers were expecting in-text examples in each of the videos in the series. There were also issues with differentiating between citing an image and using an image in the body of a paper. And, of course, some very helpful viewers pointed out mistakes we had made. We ended up with a list of concerns we wanted to address in the updated videos.
So, we set about working on the 7th edition. We started out by putting together a tip sheet for students that would help them until our videos were launched and after. Putting this together helped us get our heads around the changes in the 7th edition. But we had our fair share of obstacles and challenges. Previously, we had had the opportunity to hire a student from a library school to do a work placement with us and to help us create more videos. We put together a proposal, but we had no takers. Then there was the shift to work remotely, which made it more challenging for the team to collaborate, record voiceovers, and so on. We also had a real curveball when we discovered that many of the APA manuals the team were using were in fact counterfeit and full of errors.
Along with these issues was the ever-present pressure of needing to be 100% accurate in everything we do. These videos really are scrutinized and viewers are not afraid to point out mistakes. We have a workflow that on paper is very simple, a PowerPoint with a voiceover. But in practice, they are excruciatingly slow and tedious to put together. And then the constant battle between clarity and brevity. Could we still keep these APA minutes short while giving all of the relevant information?
We decided to tackle the videos in order of popularity, starting with the one with the largest number of views, in-text citations, and working back. We used the original scripts as a starting point and updated them with fresh references, the changes to the 7th edition, and so on. All this was done in teams, with each person working on a script and forwarding on to another team member for feedback.
So what changes did we make? Some were cosmetic. We switched to a 16:9 widescreen ratio and used this bigger canvas to reorganize how we present the content. We added a fabulous animated intro that Amy created, in PowerPoint if you can believe it. We also created some intro and outro music in GarageBand.
But what about those data-driven changes? In response to the peaks in views on the completed citation examples, we decided to put a preview of the finished citation at the beginning of the video. If the finished citation is all the viewer wants, they can pause on the example and they don't need to watch the whole video. The videos were ordered almost like a news article, putting the most relevant information at the beginning and adding detail as it goes on. We added a title card for each section of the video and a time-stamped menu in the video description so that viewers could scroll or jump to the point in the video they wanted to watch or rewatch. We put time tags at the very top of the video description so viewers could easily see that they are there.
Is it working? We currently have 4 videos live for the new series, and we've accumulated almost 92,000 views, with in-text citation currently at almost 26,000 views since the end of May, all with very little promotion on our part. Our channel subscriptions have jumped by 50% in the past year. While this isn't solely due to this new video series, it has been encouraging. Comments have continued to be really positive, and we're seeing people use the comment section like a research help desk. We even see other users reply to questions. The comment section is starting to become a conversation.
The analytics gathered so far show us that our title slide, time tags, and the front-loaded approach are all working. We're seeing peaks in those exact spots, which is interesting. In contrast to the way most YouTube content creators want to retain viewers, we're happy to lose them early if they get what they want. In this way, it's closer to how we would want a library interaction or research interview to go, connecting the student with exactly what they need in the most efficient way possible.
We still have many videos to make in the series. Next up are the ones on images. In response to the comments on the site and to our own increasing frustration with designing a video that was trying to cover too much, we're working on 2 separate videos. One on citing images in an assignment, the other on using images in an assignment. Apart from that, we'll be busy trying to resist the urge to monetize our YouTube channel and retire on the proceeds. Thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening.
Hello, my name is Melissa Cheung from the University of Ottawa, and I am pleased to present my very first project in creating library instruction videos as part of the eLearning in Libraries Symposium Showcase. The title of my talk is Mix and Match Library Tutorial Videos because I developed a flexible model and template that could be adapted, remixed, and reused to create multiple online tutorials. Before the COVID-19 pandemic, I had never taught an online class or recorded a video other than Instagram videos on my phone. When a biology professor asked me for a recording of a presentation on literature searching to embed in her online course, the first thing I did was panic. I had no idea how I was going to do this. I was inspired by the online Zotero course created by my colleague Mish Boutte. The Zotero course consists of short YouTube videos embedded into a LibGuide. Research has shown that people tend to stop watching videos after 5 or 6 minutes. So rather than record a video of a 1-hour-long presentation, I wanted to record short video tutorials on how to complete specific tasks required to perform a search for scientific literature in multiple disciplines. If students watched the videos in sequence, it would be the equivalent of watching me give a complete in-class presentation. I'll be following the ADDIE model to describe my process of creating the online tutorials. For those of you who may not know, the acronym ADDIE stands for Analysis, Design, Development, Implementation, Evaluation. My presentation will focus on the analysis, which entailed gathering information and determining the parameters of my project. Design and development of the digital learning objects, i.e. the videos, and implementation of the online tutorials as asynchronous delivery of library instruction to replace live in-class presentations. The evaluation piece is something that I'm still thinking about, so I won't talk about that today. The first thing I did was to gather all the teaching materials that I had from previous workshops and presentations for analysis. I also started looking for instructional videos from database vendors, but I didn't find very many that were designed for students, particularly novice searchers. Most vendor videos are created for advanced users or for product promotion. The majority of my instruction sessions follow the same structure and cover the same core topics. An introduction to literature reviews as the reason why students are searching for scientific literature in the first place, the steps in preparing an effective search strategy, and a demonstration of relevant library databases and search tools. This is where the mix and match idea came from. I knew I could reuse videos in different ways to create multiple tutorials. To learn more about making instructional videos, I completed a LinkedIn learning course called Creating Screen Capture Training. The course covers instructional design, creating scripts, screen capture software, best practices for recording, video editing, and hosting videos to an online platform. For the design and development phase, I followed the advice from the LinkedIn Learning course. I started by creating an outline and mapping my existing teaching content to videos I wanted to create. I used Excel to create a template outline. I started by dividing my presentation content in sections. Each section corresponds to a particular topic and is further divided into subtopics. This helped me decide which subtopics should be covered in each video. I also noted the corresponding PowerPoint slides or search tool demonstrations for each subtopic. I created a column to note the name of each video file and the URL once the videos were uploaded to YouTube. When naming the video files, I included the video number to make it easier to add videos to a customized YouTube playlist in the correct order. I also noted the length of each video because it was important to me to keep the videos shorter than 5 minutes. Lastly, I noted which videos were generic and which ones were discipline-specific. Video number 1 is a general introduction that can be reused in multiple tutorials. The discipline-specific examples I chose were actually applicable to more than one subject area. For biology, I chose a topic that was also relevant to environmental sciences. while the second tutorial I created with this template used an example research topic that was applicable to physics and electrical engineering. Once I had an outline for the videos, I updated the PowerPoint slides, prepared search examples and scripts that I would need to make the videos. Next, I recorded and edited the videos using MacBook's screen capture tool and iMovie. Then I uploaded the videos to YouTube, added captions for accessibility, and organized the videos into playlists. Lastly, I followed the example of the Zotero online course and used LibGuides to build my final tutorials. For the implementation, I liked that LibGuides allowed me to create a more user-friendly interface for the tutorials. In addition to embedding my YouTube videos, I added links to the databases and search tools featured in the videos, as well as links to recommended reading to help students with their research assignments. This is what the final online tutorials look like. The biology tutorial was the first one I created, and it served as a template for the second tutorial for research in photonics. For the photonics tutorial, I reused some of the pages from the biology tutorial, as well as vendor videos for one of the featured databases, instead of recording my own. It was much easier to create the second tutorial with the mix and match model of new and existing content. To integrate the tutorials into courses, I simply sent the links to the LibGuides to professors to share with their students. If we consider Dr. Puetnadura's framework for integrating technology in the classroom, the SAMR model, which stands for substitution, augmentation, modification, redefinition, the online tutorials are an augmentation because the technology is a substitute for live class presentations with functional improvement. They cover the same topics as a class presentation, but the asynchronous delivery provides point-of-need library instruction and allows students to learn at their own pace. Students can watch the videos at any time, as many times as needed. They can watch all the videos start to finish, or only watch the ones they need. LibGuides also has the added functionality of allowing students to find links to resources within the tutorial, as well as options for students to contact me if they have further questions or need help with their research. Although transitioning to remote library services in a short period of time has been challenging, this experience has got me thinking of better ways to integrate technology into my work to reach a greater number of students remotely than I am able to meet in person. And that's my project in a nutshell. Thank you for watching.
Welcome to Micro-Credentials in Academic Libraries. Is there room for us on the Digital Badgewagon? My name is Liana Giovando. As a librarian, I wear a couple different hats. I work part-time at Seneca College as librarian and eLearning project coordinator, and I am also the principal consultant at Pertinence.ca. Today, I am wearing my consulting hat. Pertinence.ca is a library consulting firm that provides research and recommendations on emerging technology and management strategies for academic libraries. Other fun facts about me: I am a very amateur circus artist and slightly less amateur but still very far from professional competitive sailor. And I am a dog person. So what are we talking about? Micro-credentials are just as they sound. They are mini certifications received in recognition of short, purposeful, and skill-based learning. They're defined by eCampus Ontario as specific, easily verifiable, and have immediate relevance to the job market. Other educators also include the concept of stackable, meaning that micro-credentials can be combined in different configurations, allowing for a flexible and customizable learning path. Digital badges are an example of micro-credentials, issued electronically. Digital badges are generally in the form of an image that is embedded with verifiable metadata containing information about the badge issuer, criteria, and any supporting evidence of the learner's experience. Technically speaking, digital badges are a subtype of microcredential, but you'll find that many people, including me, use these terms interchangeably. Micro-certification is another term that is often used interchangeably. And there has been a concerted effort to standardize metadata embedded in digital badges so they are interoperable with different platforms or systems regardless of who issued them or where they were earned. The most recent update of what is now known as the Open Badge Standard was released in 2018. Digital badge platforms also emerged to assist educators and students in administering and managing badges. Mozilla Backpack was one of the first popular examples in 2011, but it has since been retired. Other popular examples are Badger and Credly in the US and CanCred in Canada. There are also plenty of in-house platforms built and maintained by individual issuers such as Penn State University. These platforms allow educators to create, issue, and verify digital badges for their participants and allow students to manage and share their earned credentials. There are lots of other examples, but these are just a few of the popular ones. Ontario has certainly been keeping up with this trend, and when it comes to higher education, eCampus Ontario is leading the charge. They have commissioned multiple research initiatives, developed the micro-certification principles and framework to help standardize initiatives, and helped to launch 36 micro-credential pilot projects at Ontario colleges and universities. They recently announced eCampus Ontario's 4th annual Micro-Credential Forum that will be held on February 26, 2021. On November 5th of this year, the Government of Ontario released its Budget 2020 Action Plan, committing $180.5 million to help retrain and upgrade skills among workers affected by the pandemic. The expansion of micro-credentials is included in the list of initiatives, and eCampus Ontario will play a role in the government's strategy, including working with partners to develop a virtual passport for lifelong learning. A recent research report commissioned by eCampus Ontario describes the regulatory framework for colleges and universities that might enable or constrain the use of micro-certifications. The major players are the Ministry of Colleges and Universities and the various provincial-level quality assurance processes, such as those of the Post-Secondary Education Quality Assessment Board, PCAB. Essentially, the report helps colleges and universities to answer questions like, would a micro-certification program make us eligible for additional funding from the ministry? Can we charge students? Do we have the authority to award this credential? Dumbed down to its most basic, the simple answer is this. You can do whatever you want if the micro-certification is not for credit. If it is for credit, you will have to jump through a whole bunch of hoops and will probably not get much additional funding. Another report commissioned by eCampus Ontario on micro-certification business models in higher education identifies perceived barriers to micro-certifications. One, that micro-certifications will devalue academic credentials. And this one I think is a big one. It's almost like micro-credentials are the educational version of the gig economy. They disrupt the business model of higher education. They are appealing in so many ways, but really, how do you monetize them? It takes work to create learning material, assess student work, and administer credentials, work that will likely cost money. Quality assessment is costly, and there's a risk of double charging students or asking them to do additional work for little advantage to them. And then there's the risk of becoming a lackey of industry, a trainer, not an educator. Remember that micro-credentials are meant to have immediate relevance to the job market. The aspect of higher education that is intended to prepare students as citizens is often lost in micro-certification programs. And finally, there's also the issue of notoriety. Micro-credentials are totally useless unless they're widely recognized, so it becomes integral to the success of any initiative to really market and promote the entire campaign so that each badge also carries some notoriety. So where does this leave us? Is there room for academic libraries on the Digital Badgewagon? There are very strong examples of digital badge initiatives among academic libraries in the US. Not surprisingly, they center around information literacy skills. One well-known example is that of Penn State University. They use information literacy badges within general education courses. For example, a student may be required or recommended to use a chosen badge within an English class. Once a student submits evidence for a badge step, that evidence is viewed and vetted by a librarian or instructor who has access rights to evaluate it. Virginia Tech University libraries have another example. They support Advanced Research Skills program and use digital badges to award students with micro-credentials hosted on the Badger platform. Badges capture achievements from a series of online modules developed by librarians and managed on the university's learning management system. I think the answer is a resounding yes. There is room for us, and if I were to imagine a digital badge initiative for Ontario academic libraries, it would be a peer consortium business model with distributed and rotating leadership. I envision a micro-credentialing initiative that provides an easy solution for faculty across the province to import learning outcomes with associated learning activities, assignments, and assessment rubrics into their own courses. Faculty would be responsible for assessment, but they would be given assessment rubrics to ensure the same standard of quality across courses. Students would be awarded badges for the mastery of specific critical skills seamlessly as they work their way through the full course material. This way, students pay no additional cost for credentials, they don't have to do additional work outside of their normal coursework, and academic institutions don't need to pay for additional assessment. Of course, this would be a lot of work for the peer consortium, but this is stuff we're already doing in libraries. It's just a matter of greater collaboration. In fact, I see digital badges as a very natural extension of something like the Learning Portal, which offers a huge collection of open online learning modules and open materials in subjects like learning online, study skills, research, writing, and digital skills. The Learning Portal even goes so far as to prepare learning activities and quizzes for students that faculty can import as cartridges into their college's learning management system. It wouldn't be a big step from here to also include some sort of assessment rubric and provide instructions to easily award students digital badges for the completion of assignments. And the Learning Portal is currently using a peer consortium business model anyway. The Learning Portal is supported by a rotating working group of libraries from across the province. I know at this stage I'm sounding a bit naive. It's obviously not all that simple, and there is the soul-crushing question, why even bother? What advantages do academic libraries gain in designing and delivering digital badging program? Well, I do believe with enough notoriety that digital badges can add value to the business of colleges and universities, and that libraries can become even more valuable to their institutions by administering these badges. The Government of Ontario obviously thinks micro-credentials are an important trend in education, and so do many educators. OCAD University's Continuing Studies offers a digital badge in ideation and prototyping for human-centered design. When asked why micro-credentials, they explain that in today's fast-changing workforce and emerging gig economy, a nimble recognition system is essential for both professionals and employers who are increasingly moving towards skill or competency-based hiring. I get it that it's tricky. I'm not saying it's easy to navigate, but I do think it would be fun to try. So on that note, I will say goodbye and leave you with my contact information. I would love to chat with you about this idea or any other variations. I'm ready to collaborate anytime, just say the word. Thanks very much for listening.